I am Laura Dixon, and you are listening to the Naturally Thin for Life podcast, episode number 267, The 5 Essentials, number 4, Emotions. Welcome to the Naturally Thin for Life podcast. Get ready to learn how to live in your dream body, free from all the diet rules. You're going to learn the naturally thin mindset and strategies so that you never need to count, track, or measure your food ever again. And instead, you get to live the rest of your life at your body's optimal weight with the peace and freedom you've been craving. Let's dive in. Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's podcast episode. As I shared with you on the last couple of episodes, these are the last episodes of the Naturally Thin for Life podcast, and you can go back to the episode called Life Changes and Last Chance to Join Naturally Thin for Life for more details on that and what's been going on for me personally. But as I shared on the last 2 episodes, I'm going to end the podcast with the 5 essentials going in ascending order, starting at number 5 all the way to what is the most important thing, the number one thing you need to focus on to be naturally thin. And so, as the title would suggest, this week is number 4, where we're going to talk about emotions and how that plays into your ability to lose weight and to keep it off with ease. And before I start in today's content and today's episode, I just wanted to clarify something that I have received a few questions about via email. So many of you have messaged me and said you want to join the Naturally Thin for Life program. And as I shared before, that program, the doors are closing March 1st, 2025 at noon Central. So you want to make sure to join before then if that's something that you want. And you can head over to naturallythinforlife.com/join to get a completely free, no strings attached, 7-day free trial. Check it out and then decide if you want to purchase that lifetime access to the program. The question I have received multiple times is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to download all the content. So I shared in the last 2 episodes that as part of your lifetime access to the program, you will have the option to download the content later in 2025, but the content will still be housed for you. It will be housed on a different platform where you can also have the option to download the content that you want. So I just wanted to make that clear for you that you won't have to join the program and then quick download all the videos because it can be a big size. And if it is something that you want to download, of course, you can email me. I can share with you how to easily do that. The easiest way that I know is to put them all on a Google Drive. And you can pay, it's like $1.99 or $2.99 or something a month. And that has plenty of storage if that is something that you are interested in. So just FYI, if you do join the Naturally Thin for Life program and you get lifetime access, you will have access to it in the way that it currently is and appears for a while. And then later in 2025, the platform is just going to change and it will be housed somewhere else. And when that platform changes, you will have the ability to download the content. So again, if you want to join the Naturally Thin for Life program before the doors close on March 1st, 2025 at noon Central, head over to naturallythinforlife.com/join. Check it out, get a free trial, and then decide. So today we're going to talk about emotions and why they are important to being naturally thin. And one of the foremost reasons that this is really important is because you want to know and experience that you are stronger than your feelings. And we know that in other situations. For example, an easy one that I can think of is getting out of bed. Sometimes a lot of us have the desire to just lay in bed. Our feeling or our emotion, and I'm going to use those words interchangeably here. I have other podcasts where I talk about a distinction between emotions and feelings. But for the sake of this episode, I'm going to use them interchangeably. When you wake up in the morning and your alarm goes off and you have a feeling or an emotion of dread or a feeling or an emotion of lethargy or laziness or slothfulness because you don't want to get out of bed, you just want to lay there. We are stronger than that emotion most of the time, and we decide to get up and go to work or get about our day at some point, right? Maybe we snooze a few times, but we do eventually get out of bed. We're stronger than that feeling of dread. There may also be times at work, let's say, where you have a big task at hand and you're just feeling so much dread or you're feeling a lot of stress about it. but you still do it anyways. We're stronger than our feelings. And when it comes to eating, a lot of the time we overeat because of an emotion. We eat when we're not hungry because we're trying to distract ourselves from stress or anxiety or overwhelm. Or we eat past the point of being satisfied because we're maybe prolonging the eating experience as a way to avoid the dread of the next task. We try to distract ourselves from emotions with food. And sometimes it's in very obvious, blatant ways. And sometimes it's in very small, subtle ways. So even if you don't think you are eating as a way to distract yourself from your emotions, I just want you to listen here. And you've probably heard me talk about this before. I have many, many other podcast episodes on this and different ways to go about understanding this and dealing with this. So, for example's sake, I want you to just think about the last time you overate, meaning you either ate when you weren't hungry or you ate past your optimal satisfaction point. What emotion were you avoiding? And I just want you to assume for a minute that you were, in fact, avoiding an emotion. Let's just think about it. What was it? Was it dinner time and you ate past your optimal satisfaction point because you were dreading getting up and doing the dishes, dreading putting the kids to bed, dreading whatever else you were going to embark on that evening, even if it was just like a teeny, teeny little bit of dread, or even just a teeny bit of negative anticipation about something? Or was the last time you overate because you were making dinner and you were a little bit stressed and overwhelmed about all of the to-dos going on, and so you just found yourself kind of snacking a little bit in the pantry, even though, yeah, maybe you were a little bit hungry, but you weren't like that hungry and you didn't really need to eat. So you were avoiding that overwhelm or that stress or that anxiety in that moment. Or maybe it was the last time you overate sitting and watching TV at night and you weren't really that hungry. You had already eaten, but you were avoiding maybe some boredom. And so you decided to avoid that boredom with a little bit of a snack because the show you were watching isn't really that entertaining, anyways. Just really think about the last time you overate. And if you assume it was because you wanted to distract yourself from an emotion, and it doesn't have to be some huge, heavy emotion, and it might be, but it could also just be those kind of annoying little emotions we feel on a day-to-day basis that cause a little bit of friction in our life. So with this, yes, feelings are important to understand, but we also need to understand that we are not simply our feelings. Yes, they're important, but we are not our feelings in and of themselves. We are stronger than our feelings. And when you succumb to eating as a way to distract yourself from a feeling, from an emotion, from anxiety, stress, overwhelm, boredom, guilt, or even excitement, even we sometimes eat to distract ourselves from positive emotions. When you do that over and over and over and over again, you create a habit whereby you teach yourself that you are not, in fact, stronger than your feelings. You turn to food instead of being stronger than your feeling. And we can do that very subtly and not even realize it's happening until it becomes such a strong habit that it can feel like we will never be able to break that habit. So, what do you do then when this becomes a part of our life? And I think it becomes a part of everyone's life who struggles with overeating. And again, overeating means either eating when you're not hungry or eating past your optimal satisfaction point and eating food that doesn't feel good in any quantity. So, for example, if you eat French fries and you eat 2 French fries and you know you're going to feel really terrible, that's overeating. It's either overeating in type or quantity or eating when you're not hungry. So, what happens when you experience this? What happens when you have developed a habit of eating as a way to distract yourself from an emotion? You need to get really good at allowing emotions in your body without eating them in order to break that habit. And the best way I know how to do this is to start by naming that emotion. As soon as you name it, it's like you kind of shine a light on it and you can bring it out into the daylight and you can see that you really are stronger than that emotion. So I will use anxiety because that was one of the feelings that I felt on a regular basis in varying degrees that I would often turn to little snacks here and there, sometimes a lot of snacks, sometimes binging at night from that anxiety. So you start by saying, this is X emotion. This is the emotion of anxiety. This is the emotion of overwhelm. This is the emotion of stress. And again, you say to yourself, this is an emotion vibrating in my body. This feeling that I'm having right now, it's coming from what I'm thinking about. or potentially what I'm ruminating on. And anxiety in particular comes from our own mind, and our other emotions come from our own mind as well. And you just want to really notice that. You want to realize that I'm feeling this way because of what I'm thinking about, what I'm ruminating on, what I'm pondering. That's why I'm feeling this emotion. And then you want to remind yourself, I'm stronger than this feeling. And one of the best ways to show yourself that this is in fact true is to describe what the feeling feels like. And I'm going to give you an example and then share with you why this is really important, especially if you have a very logical, analytical type brain. So you might say to yourself, I'm feeling anxiety. It's coming from what I'm thinking about. I'm stronger than this feeling. And side note, you're probably saying this to yourself in your head. You don't necessarily need to say it out loud, especially if you're around other people. And as you practice this, you'll get really good at this and it will happen really quickly so that it can kind of be something you do almost a little bit in a blink of an eye, maybe slightly longer than that. But at first, you might say it out loud, especially if you're by yourself. You might even write it down. And I share with you more how to do that in a very step-by-step process inside the Naturally Thin for Life program. But you would say, like I was saying, this is the emotion of anxiety. I'm stronger than this feeling. It comes from what I'm thinking about. And it feels like vibrations really quickly in my chest. It feels like guitar strings being strung and just vibrating at a very high frequency in my chest. It might feel a little hollow in my chest. It might feel like there's a fluttering energy that just wants to come out of my chest. It might feel bright orange. It might feel a little bit warm. I might notice my heart rate increasing a little bit. It might have a texture that's a little bit harsh. It might have a texture that's a little bit more brittle versus something like calm, which has a much more melting type texture. And so you want to describe the feeling to yourself, the emotion that you're having. And there's no way to do this perfectly or even an exact right way. And especially if you have a logical or analytical tendency or leaning in your brain and how you think. The reason you want to describe the emotion is because you want to bring your attention into your body so that then your illogical or analytical mind can actually see that it's simply a feeling. It's simply an emotion vibrating through you. The ironic thing about those of us, self included, who view ourselves as very logical or analytical and very rational, is that we think in this albeit faulty logic, we think that our feeling is stronger than us. That's why we respond to it with food, right? We say to ourselves, we're very logical, we're very analytical. Yet we feel some anxiety, we feel some stress, and we start to eat when we're not hungry. That's actually not very logical and it's not very analytical. And in that moment, we're actually succumbing to the feeling and we're sort of saying by our actions that it is stronger than us. And that's why we're in the cabinet eating some crackers or whatever it is. And so I did this for years, and it's why it's somewhat maddening when we have this type of personality because we can't understand why we keep eating when we're not hungry, why we keep overeating. And when you do this, and for the women who have gone through the Naturally Thin for Life program who have hyper logical, analytical type tendencies, they tell me time and time again, this is the one thing that really fast tracked their weight loss. It's the one thing that made the biggest impact in their ability to lose weight, in their ability to feel calm, in their ability to feel peaceful. And that is this process of allowing their emotions. Because when you do this, when you even just take 30 seconds to describe the emotion to yourself, it allows that logical, analytical, rational part of your brain to see, oh, I'm having an experience of an emotion. I am stronger than this emotion. The power of the emotion starts to fade when you shine that spotlight on it. It stops feeling so much like it is controlling you and it's leading you to the cabinet to eat when you aren't actually hungry. And so if you're interested in learning more of the step-by-step process and how to do this and how to do this in a very logical and analytical way to make it very habitual so that you can be talking to someone, feel yourself getting annoyed, and you can kind of say to yourself as an aside, I'm feeling annoyed. This is an emotion in my body. And you can almost describe it to yourself as you're still talking to a person. And it can really be habitual. Then go to the Naturally Thin for Life program. You can even go and get a free trial. And again, that's at naturallythinforlife.com/join. Head over to module 3, and that module is called Allow Emotion. And when you do this over and over and over again, you then will be able to do the next 3 essentials that I'm going to share with you on the next 3 podcast episodes so much more easily. And like I said, there's no way to do this perfectly. There's not even an exact right way. But the point of it is to use that beautiful, logical, analytical, rational part of your brain to show yourself by recognizing and bringing some attention to the emotion you're having in your body that, yes, I'm having an emotion. Yes, it's coming from what I'm thinking about. It's okay, and I'm stronger than that emotion. And not I'm stronger in a white knuckling, I'm gonna force this feeling out of my body and I'm never gonna feel anxiety again type of way, but in a much more compassionate, loving way where, yes, I'm a human, I'm having this emotional experience, and it's okay I'm having this experience. And even if it's a negative emotion like anxiety, I don't need to answer it with food because I'm stronger than this feeling. And that strength comes from allowing it to be there. That strength doesn't mean forcing it out of your human experience. That strength means, yes, I can feel this emotion. Yes, it can be here in my body. And also, I can still allow my body to get hungry. And also, I can still put the fork down right now. And also, I can stop eating the snacks because I know that if I overeat, I'm not going to feel good. And when you know how to allow emotion in your body without responding to it with food, you're able to much more easily think about yourself in the future. You're able to think about yourself 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, going to bed tonight, waking up in the morning. And you care more about yourself when you have the strength of allowing emotion in your body. You care more about yourself in the future. You care more about yourself and how you'll feel 5 minutes, an hour, going to bed tonight, waking up in the morning. And when you do this over and over again, you then decide consciously what's more important to you is feeling good in your body. And because you can allow this emotion, then you can make decisions that allow you to feel better in your body. And you'll start to feel better and better and better. And you'll start to see by practicing this. And I highly, highly encourage you, I challenge you to practice this. Every time you have an emotion that leads you to wanting to overeat, try it for a week and just see what happens. See how much calmer you'll feel. See how much you will actually lose the desire to overeat in the first place. How much more easily you'll think about yourself going to bed tonight, feeling light and lean and energized. And then as you practice this, and of course it's not going to be perfect, but as you practice this and as you get better and better at this, you'll start to feel better and better in your body. And the better and better you feel, the better and better you'll want to feel. And so it becomes so much easier. It will become second nature. So much so that at some point in the future, you will look back on your past life and think, wow, I can't believe I overate for those reasons. Simply because at some point in the future, when you practice this, you will no longer even want to overeat. I cannot here today even fathom overeating the way that I used to. It just has zero appeal, like absolutely none. I don't fight with it. I don't have to struggle with it. And I have so much compassion and love for that former version of me who used to sit on the couch and binge at night and just overeat to the point of feeling sick to my stomach. And the desire for that is completely gone. And it comes from, and it starts with, and it is cultivated by this process of allowing your emotion. You will see how much stronger you are than your emotional experience. And you will see how much more quickly you will lose weight, how much more peaceful you will feel along the way, and how much more you enjoy and love and desire and want to feel physically incredible in your body, want to feel physically lean and light and energized and vibrant and fit and strong and all the reasons you want to lose weight in the first place. So my friends, master this skill of allowing emotions. It's not going to be perfect. There's no exact right way to do it. But if you want my very specific step-by-step process on how to allow emotions, head over to naturallythinforlife.com/join. You can get a completely free trial of the Naturally Thin for Life program. And if you want to work on this in particular, head straight to Module 3 called Allow Emotion. And if you want lifetime access to the Naturally Thin for Life program, make sure you purchase that before March 1st, 2025 at noon Central. Friends, I hope you all have an incredible week, and I'll talk with you all next week about essential number 3. Hey friend, if you're enjoying the podcast, I invite you to come and check out the Naturally Thin for Life membership at naturallythinforlife.com/join. where you'll learn the full Naturally Thin method broken down into simple and doable steps so that you lose the weight you want peacefully and rapidly and keep it off with ease for the rest of your life. The Naturally Thin for Life membership provides you with the tools to not only lose the weight you want, but customize your mindset and your habits to your unique body and life. As part of the membership, you also get an implementation workbook to ensure your inevitable success. Head over to naturallythinforlife.com/join to get an inside look and tour of the Naturally Thin for Life membership. Hear from countless women who've utilized the tools and the extraordinary successes they've been able to achieve. I hope you join us over there at naturallythinforlife.com/join.